There was a time when you didn't have to say, I don't know. If you go in there claiming that you know, you're going to place a really confident bet on the wrong thing. You can't actually feel the change because it's so subtle. It's 1 degree every day. This isn't just nice, fluffy high fives. We all learn from each other, and the org chart, the hierarchy's gone out of the window, and we actually create a collective brain. We actually thrive as a team when we do that. There's so much that I think should be human that I don't want AI doing anything with. Relationships, compassion, trust is so important.
Yeah.
Indulge in that. Don't automate that. Don't take that away.
A lot of us are feeling pressure to have the answers about AI, when the truth is, most of us are still just figuring things out. I'm joined once again by futurist Dom Price to talk about the power of humility in leadership, learning out loud, and how bringing people with you on the AI journey will get far better results than pretending that you have all the answers. Dom, you said the best leaders you're seeing right now are comfortable saying, I don't know, but we'll figure it out together. Why is that such a powerful leadership move, and especially in the era of AI?
I think it's powerful, Alice, because there was a time when you didn't have to say, I don't know. There was a time when there was so much certainty, and actually just running a consistent business, and the more knowledge you acquired, the better you were. That was true.
Yeah.
It's just not now.
Yeah.
And if that's not true now, the sheer amount of ambiguity we've got in the world, supply chain wars, challenges, business disruption, if you go in there claiming that you know, you're going to place a really confident bet on the wrong thing. That same conversation where you go, I don't know exactly, but directionally I know where I want to head.
Yeah.
Will you come with me? Or directionally I think it's X and not Y.
Yeah.
Can you help me get there? That's going to build a very different environment where people go, let's be curious together. Let's work this out together.
Yeah.
That's very different from saying, I know the answer, and Alice, I just need you to follow.
Yeah.
You're not going to follow.
What actually happens inside a team when a leader openly admits that they are learning about AI alongside everyone else in their team?
When a leader utters the words correctly, I don't know, what they bring is two amazing things at the same time. And you need both of these.
Yeah.
They bring the humility to be honest, to go, you know what, I'm not an expert in this thing, right? I'm not. But they also bring this confidence, this desire to say, I need to be good enough at this so that we can thrive as a team.
Yeah.
So it builds way more psychological safety. I'm inviting you in for starters, right?
Yeah.
It also just builds this environment where you're saying, let's learn together. Our goal here is to grab hold of this tool, this technology, this capability, and say, how do we collectively learn? And when we collectively learn, I learn from you, you learn from me, we all learn from each other. And the org chart, the hierarchy's gone out of the window, and we actually create a collective brain. We actually thrive as a team when we do that. And when you invite those conversations, you're going to move at a pace where your competition's not at. So this isn't just nice, fluffy high fives, right? Acoustic guitar. This is saying a competitive advantage is building psychologically safe teams where you learn fast together, and admitting that you don't know does that. What you have to be able to do is still give direction. And that's where that confidence is a great balancing act to say, be humble. Don't say I don't know and stop. Right? That's a bit crazy, right? If you're a leader and you're like, I'm just going to walk into every meeting and say, I don't know. I heard it from this guy.
And everyone else says, I'm out the door.
Yeah, that's not going to set that tone of confidence. But similarly, you don't have to beat your chest and claim that what worked 30 years ago will work today. Instead, invite the smart people that you've hired, invite them into the conversation. And you get that respectful dissent. You explore the tension of different views and feelings and thoughts, and you will get a better product and service because of that.
That word you used a few times, humility. In my opinion, humility breeds authenticity, and authenticity breeds trust. And I think in the way that the modern workplace works, where some people who are those real high performers, they're in hot demand from a number of other companies. And it's not necessarily the company they're chasing, it's the authenticity and how it goes about it. They're chasing humility and connection. What's your take there?
I think there's yes and, right? I think there's that, and there's this element of saying we can't draw a high fidelity picture right now of what the world looks like in 3 years, right? We used to be able to, right? If I look back at my career, there was times when I could draw a 3 or 5 year plan with quite high certainty, right?
I think that question has been removed from every job interview. What's your 5-year plan?
What's your 5-year plan? Except You go to any organization in Australia right now, and they're like, we need a 3 or 5 year plan for AI. You're like, okay, you can, but you have to accept that it's a low fidelity picture.
Yeah.
It's not a high fidelity. Therefore, how do I build experiments? How do I explore to find what works? And when it works, please do more of it, right? Lots of little experiments. You do something, you try it, not bet the company, not huge giant shifts or transformations, small experiments. You try something. If it works, please tell everyone. If it doesn't work, please tell everyone, right? Regardless, tell the story. I tried something with really good intent. Here's what worked. Let's do more of it. Here's what didn't. Let's learn why it didn't work. And we go again and again and again.
Yeah.
When you do that, those leaders, and there's a few I'm working with right now, they drive constant evolution. And so in any week, month or quarter, if you go and immerse in their organizations, you can't actually feel the change because it's so subtle. It's 1 degree every day. Those companies will probably never get a case study written about them because they just evolved very gracefully, right?
Yeah.
Compare that to other organizations that say, we know what we know and we're just going to do it regardless. Every day they fall 1 degree behind. And then in 18 months, they're the companies that go, oh my God, we're behind. We need a transformation. We need a giant swing.
Yeah.
And so what I'm saying to organizations is that desire to create giant swings creates huge amounts of thrashing, right? And you end up just creating discourse, right? You violently swing one way, you violently swing the other, versus going, the industry we're in, we've got a lot of knowns. Let's work out those knowns and let's evolve how we work, but through experiments and exploring. And everyone does it, right? When the team does it together, you get that diversity of thought. Then as a leader, your job is to create the conditions where other people thrive, not to be the person that makes other people thrive, right? It's a very different leadership style.
I want to just loop back onto a point you made before, that there was a difference between humility and a lack of confidence.
Yes.
Like, that is an extremely important
Huge.
distinction.
Yeah.
How do leaders get the balance right?
It's a hard one. A lot of the leaders I've been working with recently, I talk about 2 things. One is having a portfolio of leadership styles, right? And it used to be called situational leadership. It's got a whole lot of different names. But you can step into 2 different rooms and need to be a different leader.
Yeah.
And that's not inauthentic. You can still be authentically you, but the needs, the wants, the desires of the people in that room are different than the room before. So you need to be able to adapt as a leader. When you do that, then you get humility and you get confidence, right? You get the ability to say, I don't know X, but I do know Y. And if I know Y, then I can build you some guardrails and we can play really nicely together. So they can hold almost 2 opposing views in their head at the same time. The other thing I'd love to do, and I work a lot with leaders in businesses of different shapes and sizes, is to have a leadership amnesty, right? I want to take the historical things that we knew to be true, that used to work in a previous existence. I want to have an amnesty. I want to just dish them all out. No one gets punished for them. And we stop using those bad ways of working, those bad ways of leading. We retire them and we give ourselves the good grace, the freedom to try new ways, right? And I think that's what humility is. It's saying it's not that doesn't work or didn't work. It used to work in a different environment, but the world's changed. My job as a leader is to be relevant. And if you're relevant, you're having to deploy 5, 6, 7 different leadership styles at different times. That is a superpower. You can still be authentically you and adapt to those different environments.
Look, in 10 years' time, there are many core things that actually won't change. Property is going to continue to be bought and sold, rented and built. But it certainly sounds like the how of it all will evolve, certainly. And we want to stay on that learning curve, right?
Just that alone is a statement worth pausing on. Like, what does it mean to be on the learning curve, right?
Yeah.
If you accept that, if your first step is to go, there is a learning curve, and my job as a leader is to make sure me, my teams, my organization stay on that learning curve and stay relevant, that's like a new challenge for leaders. I don't think that was known before, right? So that's kind of like a great step 1. I think step 2 of what you called out there is going, hang on. We're not throwing everything out here, right? It's not a revolution. Like you say, there'll still be bricks and houses,
the fundamentals
right?
are still there.
And so just look at any example. Like, I've worked in technology for nearly 30 years. And in those 30 years, everyone keeps on telling me shopping is going to fundamentally change, right? I still buy actual ingredients from an actual supermarket that I drive to in my actual car, that I drive home and cook in an actual oven and feed to my actual kids, right? So in that world, it's the same for property. Like, when I find the things that are the same, it's not about leaving them. It's about going, how can I make those still a better experience? And I think this is where real estate has a fascinating opportunity. There's so much of real estate that I think should be human, that I don't want AI doing anything with, right? And if you're the organization that can tap into those and you find those uniquely human experiences that we deeply care about that maybe have a premium price associated with them, do those in a way that is nuanced and high fidelity and personalized, but then use the technology on everything else. And that takes doing it on purpose. If you use technology by accident right now, and I've seen it, really weird things happen, right? I have a phrase I use that a fool with a tool is still a fool. You've just made them faster. And I see in the modern era, a lot of fast idiots. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Be very purposeful. Accept that technology is real and AI is a fundamental change to the way we do business, but don't just layer it across your business. Be very selective about, here's an area that I can be very purposeful, that I can instrument or orchestrate in a way where AI can make me do a better job. Do that. And here's an area of my workflow or my business where relationships, right, where compassion, right, where trust is so important.
Yeah.
That's a human-to-human thing, and that's a premium, right? Indulge in that. Don't automate that. Don't take that away. And I think they're the businesses that do that and the leaders that do that the best. They almost take a step back. They just have this moment of going, pause. I'm just going to pause. What is true? What might be true and what could be true? And when they look at that, they're very selective about how they make those changes, and they know the reaction that they want. And when they do that, it's fascinating because they're very responsive to changes in their environment, but they're not planning 5 years ahead, and they're not saying, I know. They're still saying, I don't know, but they're placing really clever bets. And when I see those leaders, I know that they will build sustainable, thriving businesses in the long term because they've got the right ingredients.
If there's only one thing to take away from this conversation we've had today, Dom, for me, it's that not having all the answers doesn't actually disqualify you from being a leader or from leading, really large teams. I guess it kind of makes better leadership almost possible. What's your take there?
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think if you're looking for magic ingredients right now, it would be acknowledge what you said before. You're on a learning curve. Make yourself on that curve. Don't be below it. You can be above it if you want to exceed, but minimum, be on the curve. Second one is have that humility to be curious, but do so with confidence, right? And then the third step is build the guardrails, build the environment where your team can thrive. And to do that, you probably need to be the role model. Now, the reality is you already are the role model.
Yeah.
It's just you've got to decide you want to be the role model of good behaviors or bad behaviors. You make that choice. You have that agency. But when you do that, you create the conditions and the environment for your team to thrive. Collectively, you can achieve anything, right? If you don't do those things, you'll run an old business well for the time that is true. But the world around you will change. And sadly, you will eventually become irrelevant.
Well, Dom, thanks so much for coming on the show. I've thoroughly enjoyed our chat. I think what we've given people here today is pretty much literally a Leadership 101 playbook. So I hope people have taken something away from it. And thanks again.
Thank you for your time.